On this dashboard, we are comparing two separate populations based on the attrition yes-no field. So the first population are the ones who still remains in the company, and the second population are the ones who have left the company. So I'm going to go through the dashboard on a high level and how I built it. So here is a heat map visual that I've used, and I've used the data from the original data set based on the attrition field right here. So basically we have 100, 1,000, 1,200 remain in the company and about 200 that left the company. So to obtain the data separately for the two groups of population, I basically separate out the original data set into two different data sets based on the attrition field no and attrition field yes. And these two data sets then fits into the visuals that produces the ratings and the demographic details here. Let's discuss a little bit about the insights that we can get from this dashboard. Looking at the gender split, we can see that there's a high proportion of female that left the company versus the ones that remain in the company. Looking at the split across education fields, there's basically not much difference across both populations. Looking across the different various KPI metrics, we can see that the ones that left the company on average lives further away from the company, has a little bit lower in terms of hourly rate, has lower years at the company, has a little bit lower ratings in work-life balance, lower job satisfaction, and in terms of performance rating, it's about the same. And looking at the average percent salary hike, it's a little bit higher. Looking at this last metric, one might hypothesize that the ones that left might have gotten better salaries elsewhere, and that's why they chose to leave the company. To create the data set for the two populations, I would go to the original data set, click on transform data. So the first thing you want to do is to right click on the original data set and then duplicate it. And I'm going to rename this D1. Once you rename it, I'm going to decide that D1 will be all my attrition equals to yes. So I'm going to click on that. And after that, I'm going to right click on that data set and click on reference. I'm going to rename this D1Y, so representing all the yeses. So here I should have total of 237 rows. Let's check that. Yeah, we do have that. I'm going to repeat the same for attrition equals to no. So I'm going to duplicate, make a duplicate of the original data set, rename it D2, and then I'm going to filter these two no's. Once I do that, I'm going to right click and click on reference and rename this to D2N. Okay. So then this will then represent our attrition equals to no data set. So now that you have your yes and no's data set, you can build your visual using these data sets independently. Let's hit close and apply. So here's a partially filled dashboard, and we're going to walk through each visual that's remaining. Let's start with the top heat map. So let's click on the heat map icon, and we'll be using the attrition field from the original data set and then count as values. So now we can see the count between no and yeses. So from here, I'm going to change the colors, make this green, and this one gray. Next, I'm going to go to category labels and make the font bigger and make it bold. Next, I'm going to change the title to left company with a question mark. Make it 22, no, actually 20, and make it bold. Set that in the middle. I'm going to go through the last few steps relatively quickly. It's making the donut chart for the yes population, a heat map for the no population, and then creating the remaining metrics using visual card. Since we already have the visuals in place, I'm going to show you how I duplicate it relatively quickly. Let's start with the donut chart. I'm going to Control C and Control V. So for the yes population, we can see that it's pointing to the no population, so we just have to change that. And now we'll go to formatting to change the color. There you have it. Now for the education field heat map, I'm going to do the same. Control C, Control V. I'll take the second one to the left. And I'm going to point this to the no population. So I'm going to stick this out. Now I'm going to change the colors by going to the colors panel. So there you have it. All the colors are now changed to the theme colors of green and gray. Now what's left are the visual cards, so I'm going to do the same thing. Control C, Control V, and make sure that it's pointing to the right data source. This will be for the yes population, and going to distance from home, and making sure that it's the average, not the sum. To change the category label, I'll double click on that and type home distance. I'm on to the last visual card, so copy and paste again, and make sure that this is pointing to the right population. There you have it. So we're done with this dashboard page, and we can clearly see the KPI metrics as well as the demographic details for the two separate populations.